Greetings and welcome back to you all. Today, in this episode of Inside Zed, we will be covering the French FAMAS. The FAMAS is a bullpup style assault rifle, with many variants being produced. The F1 variant, G1 and G2 variants, a civilian model, and the FAMAS Commando variant. The project's design began in the year 1967 under the direction of Paul Tilly, with the first prototype model being completed in 1971. The French military began evaluation of the rifle in 1972. When production problems delayed the issue of the FAMAS, and with the Battle of Coezy in 1978 showing the immediate need for a more modern weapon, the French army began searching for a temporary rifle to fill this need until the FAMAS came under full production. One of the weapons considered was the HK-33, and 1,200 of them were tested by infantry, marines, airborne, mechanized, and foreign troops, but in the end it was ultimately turned down in favor of the SIG SG-540. The French military finally accepted the FAMAS in 1978 as a standard French combat weapon. The FAMAS G2 model was developed in 1994 to bring the rifle in compliance with NATO standards. To meet these standards, the FAMAS was given tighter rifling and accepted the standard NATO magazines. The FAMAS G2 also included a few other upgrades, such as the enlarged trigger guard and improved handguards, rather than being made of plastic like on the F1 variant, or made of fiberglass. The French Navy purchased the FAMAS G2 for distribution in 1995. The French Army, however, held off large-scale purchase of the G2. Because of this, the FAMAS F1 variant still remains the primary service rifle of the French Army to this day. The FAMAS F1 and G1 variants were originally designed to use a French-made 25-round magazine with 5.56 by 45mm cartridges. Due to the 1/12th rifling of the F1 barrel and the blowback action, ammunition had these steel-case French-made SS-109 cartridges, as using the standard NATO cartridge caused overpressure and could cause malfunction. The G2 variant uses a 1/9 rifling, which enables it to use SS-109 or the M193 interchangeably. The FAMAS can use a variety of rifle grenades, up to 500 rounds. Examples include the anti-personnel APAV-40 and the anti-tank AC-58. The FAMAS can also accommodate an external grenade launcher under the handguard. The US M203 grenade launcher is the model that is most often used. As for the in-game variant, the FAMAS is an earlier prototype, dating back to the very beginning of the FAMAS's development, and features a rear aperture and front shrouded post type with sight. It's a box-exclusive assault rifle costing 950 points. The weapon comes with an average magazine size of 30 rounds, on par with most other assault rifles, but your reserve ammo is what causes the FAMAS to be frowned on by some players, with only 150 spare rounds. This wouldn't make the FAMAS a terrible weapon, but the problem of the damage not being on par with the rest of the assault rifles is another contribution to its downfall. Each shot is weak, comparatively speaking to the other assault rifles, dealing 100 to 70 damage with multipliers of 4 on the head and neck. The range begins to drop off at 40 meters and completely drops off to the minimum at 75 meters. The FAMAS is better for point accumulation rather than killing after round 12. The FAMAS has moderate recoil with a center speed of 1500, and recoil values of 60 up, 60 to the right, 10 left, and 20 down. However, the fire rate is the highest of any assault rifle, tied only with the AUG, with a value of 937.5 rounds per minute and a massive 1250 rounds per minute with double tap. The aforementioned stats makes the FAMAS a fun but unpractical bullet hose. Upgrading the FAMAS will give you one of my personal favorites, the giggles. The thing that you will notice first is the red dot sight, which features a cutesy smiley face, hence the name Giggles. The Giggles now has a 45 round magazine with 225 spare rounds, and the damage has been increased. Now dealing 150 to 100 damage per shot, it also features an increase in multipliers. The head and neck multipliers are now 5x. The damage, although increased, is still only as powerful as an unupgraded box assault rifle. Perks to take into consideration include Double Tap, Speed Cola, and last but not least, Juggernaut, for obvious reasons. Even though the FAMAS is statistically inferior to every other box assault rifle, it's still a fun, easy point maker, even if it doesn't last all that long. Now let's move on to something different. Let's talk about the FAMAS and its popular custom map Armory. In the Armory, it unlocks after 14 minutes and 45 seconds, and for a cost of 1500 points, the FAMAS is the last wall weapon to be unlocked. It is more useful in the Armory than in Black Ops, as its damage is high, and the fire rate seems unchanged. Magazine size remains at a moderate 30 rounds. However, the total ammo count has been increased from 180 to 240 rounds, making prolonged use a more viable option. Before pack-a-punching, we must use the bundler. The bundled FAMAS comes with a now increased magazine size of 45 rounds and 225 spare rounds. It also comes with a reflex sight, although lacking the Giggles smiley face. The addition of only 15 extra spare rounds is the bundled version's only real downfall. Now that you've bundled the FAMAS, you can pack-a-punch the weapon for an unchanged cost of 5,000 points. The FAMAS is now called the Nexter Bull. The Nexter Bull now features an American-style ACOG set with a suppressor. The suppressor doesn't actually silence the weapon, as it is just for aesthetic purposes. The magazine size, however, remains unchanged at 45 rounds, but the total ammo count now reaches a grand total of 295 rounds. The weapon's shots are now very powerful, but with a fast fire rate, it still manages to have some longevity issues, but does remain my personal favorite in the lineup. I hope you enjoyed and learned something helpful to help you slay the undead even better than before. Farewell.